of the show, we can ask our guests and get some clarity or some answers on WhatsApp 08095975805. Welcome to Nigeria Info. The sun rises here. My name is Joyce. In the next minute, you'll be hearing my guest and I live on the sunny side on 99.3 Nigeria Info. And by the way, we are live streaming on YouTube, so you can look into the studio, you can read expressions, you can at least have the remote feeling that you're in the heat of the conversation with us. Nigeria Info FM on YouTube, and of course, we begin.
Activate. Activate. We are radio active on 99.3 Nigeria Info. My name is Joyce.
Ladies and gentlemen, our guest, of course, today, Sir Liboris Oshoma. He is, of course, a barrister, or first a barrister, and of course a political critic. Sir, it's so good to have you join the conversation. Good afternoon. You look healthy, you look fed, and we know how. Yeah.
Over the weekend, I was in Benin, and then, came back, and it's Monday. We're already in the heats, and so we have to be heady to do these things.
To wade through the maze.
Yeah, even though we are not growing any younger. It's the same thing. Here, we don't work here. We don't work here. I was talking to...
What do you mean?
Yeah, we don't work. There are no jobs, actually.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean.
There are no jobs. So we hustle. I was talking to a friend in Toronto, yesterday. After closing from first job, I went to the first job from 5 a.m. to 2, and then was rushing to the next job from 3 to 11. And that's in Nigeria, and so many like that. And I know there are so many people.
Okay. Sorry, I'm going to need you to just please wear your head. That may help with the balance of volume. Great.
And so I know there are so many people who, would love to do those kind of jobs here, but there are none. There are no factories. There are no shift jobs, and so you find that here we complain, and then because also there are no social securities, that urgent 2K becomes social security, for a lot of people.
Let's begin from Edo State. I don't think that that's the best place to begin. With Nigerian politics, anywhere you can begin.
Yes.
So the politics in Edo State, I'm not even sure how to properly characterize it. How would you characterize it, and what's really happening?
Yeah, a lot is happening. Recently I posted a video of the Benin Auchi road on my Facebook wall, and I said, if those we said didn't go to school, are beginning to do things that those who went to school couldn't do and gave us excuses for, very soon, those of us who are educated, it will be difficult for us to even, convince people that we are better than those who are not educated. Yeah. And so that's the politics of Edo State. You find, and it is easy. It is easy because the governor before now, fought with almost everybody. He created enemies from his party to the palace to, even close friends. Everybody, those that brought him into politics. So he created so many enemies for himself. So even the little that he did, were overshadowed by the many enemies that he was creating. And so it's easy for anybody just to come and boom, touch all those areas that he neglected, and you'll be a shining star.
Yeah, so
let me hope, like I said, and I hope it's not what we call IGG. Okay. IGG means initial gragra. Every governor that comes, the tendency for you to just bamboozle the people with, a few constructions here and there, and just to get second term. So I hope, and I hope that the governor will prove us wrong. But by and large, really, he has started well. He has hit the ground running. Less talk, more action. And then the Edo central part of it that had been neglected for a long time, I was in Warrior, I was in Benin, so I Old Bend there generally. So the Edo Central that had been neglected for a long time by successive government, Oshomole and the last administration, he started well. He started constructing the roads in those areas. Okay. And I hope they're able to find solution to the water problem in those areas. So with that, okay. And then the funniest part of it, which I posted this morning, during the election, you saw, those in PDP, including the current speaker, calling the current governor names. Who was a candidate then, called him names and, said they were shameless. But today, that same speaker has just decamped last week into APC. And so the question now is who is shameless? But somebody said it's politics, but really we begin to gradually excuse away this shenanigans as that's politics. But really that brings me to where we stopped last week.
Exactly.
That really there is no ideology in all of this. And so the only ideology is pockets. It's a pocket ideology. And when it's pocket ideology, you have a lot of people share that ideology, irrespective of the political platform they belong. Once they share that ideology of pocket, certainly they can cross from any of the platforms, because the only thing that brings them together is, how do I renew my pocket? So whatever name or slogan you want to call it, be it transformation, is transformation of the pocket. Be it hope, is hope for the pocket. Be it renewed hope, it is renewed hope for the pocket. Anyhow you want to call it, that's basically what's the common trend that is running, through all of them.
Nigerians are observing rather crudely the gale force wind with which politicians are just swinging back and forth. I think lately what we have is a force that's taking them from wherever they are to the APC. I think I would even love for you to speak on Okowa. Well, I don't know why you're laughing now, but maybe it's actually funny, right?
Yeah,
what can you tell us about that? Because first we heard EFCC was looking for him, and the next we heard of him was this particular rally where he declares that for the benefit of the state and the sake of the people, that it was better to be closer to power. As such, what has informed closeness to power would be the transition from where he was to the APC.
Just let me take you back a little bit. In 1999, AD, Alliance for Democracy, controlled the Southwest. Even though one of theirs is a son of the soil, like they say, Obasanjo, a Yoruba man, was the president. Fast forward to 2003, there was this slogan, this cap I'm wearing now. They called it power shift. And some pronounce it power shift. Power shift.
You've been around town. You would know things like that.
And what was the idea behind that power shift? That no, there's need for us, for the Southwest, to align for the first time with government at the center. So power shifts, power should shift. And people who for their selfish interests wanted, something for the center, used those slogans of, it's because of the ordinary people. And then Obasanjo, deceived them and swept the poll in the Southwest apart from Lagos. Which, by the first call of INEC, then they even took maybe divine intervention. And then, after that, that government, you ask yourself, Obasanjo was president for 8 years. The road to Ota was not motorable all through that 8 years, even though it was from Ota. So, for what good did the power shift? You said for the people. The road that takes the people to his village was not motorable. Then Yar'Adua's period, I will call it an interregnum. So let's move fast to Goodluck Jonathan. Goodluck Jonathan was PDP, and yes, there was the issue of what term or no term. Should he continue the term, or is he taking the term of Yar'Adua? Power should move to the south or to the north. The South had never had a shot at it, and so now let the South have a shot for the sake of the people, for the benefit of the goose that lay the golden egg. Let us have somebody from there, which is akin to power shifts. and then Goodluck Jonathan became president. The road to Otuoke is not motorable. It's village. Flood. In fact, when he left office, the heavy downpour, that the heavy rain that fell, we saw the pictures how he had to take canoe to his house because he placed the road to his house. In fact, his house was flooded with water because the river Niger and river Benue, the money meant for dredging of those rivers, went into election. So at the end of the day, for the benefit of the people, yet the people didn't benefit anything. Now came our anti-corruption guru, Buhari, who was never aware of anything. Oh, it is the turn of the man who will fight corruption. Oh, the people will benefit from it. And at the end of the day, but for Goodluck Jonathan, the people that benefited were a few persons who now saw that, there's so much money. People people from the south were complaining. Came, Buhari. Buhari's government, his kitchen cabinet were his old friends. He didn't stop the invasion of Daura by Boko Haram. In fact, as I speak to you now, Joyce, if you go to the palace of Emir of Daura, you'll be mobbed by Almajiris. Yes. Oh. If you go to the Emir of the palace of Katsina, the same thing. I have been there. So, for the sake of the people, yet the people are consistent. I'm giving you this history so that our listeners will understand that it's never about the people. Nothing has
changed, actually.
So now when Okowa came and said for the people, those days, I partly grew up in Warri, apart from Auchi. Those days in Warri, you had companies. You had oil companies and you had oil servicing companies. I don't want to call names because of adverts. You had a steel company, booming industries. And then came the Warri crisis, the Ijo, Robo, Ijo Shekiri, and all of that. And Warri became a shadow of its own. If you go to Warri now, you have more churches in Warri than worshippers. If they take one name, let's say Fountain, if they don't exhaust Fountain, they will move to the next. If it's water, and then you ask yourself, what are the people looking for? Hope. They're looking for hope. And that's why you see them trooping. And so people consistently take advantage of them. And yet you have these political leaders. Okowa was a governor in this state for 8 years. All through that is 8 years. I can't point to a landmark project
that he commissioned.
That he commissioned in the whole of Delta Central. So today, he wanted to become vice president. Was vice presidential candidate of the PDP on that article, and
which he did say he regrets. Actually,
he said it was when they started the campaign that he now realized that the South needed the presidency so badly. Now, after his tenure, EFCC invited him. He went. I've not heard anything about that case again.
We haven't.
So I won't sit down here and make excuse for him that it's because of EFCC that he moved into APC. No. These people just want to remain relevant. For the first time in a long while, the man is outside of power, is playing opposition politics. A lot of them don't want to play opposition politics. You remember, was it Doyi Okupe that said he doesn't know how to play opposition politics? So the moment they are out of relevance, they are like fish outside of water. So what do we do now? Even though he produced the governor, but he can only advise, he can only tell the governor, do this way. If he pushes too hard, maybe it will be a Fubara and Wike's fight. But I know Sheriff might even defeat him the way things are. So at the end of the day, what do? They sit down and say, okay, let us move into the ruling party at the center so that we can, those that we can collect from the state, we collect from the center. And then, which excuse will be sellable? The people. It's about the people, because that's the facade democracy that we have been, sold. The idea. Name one country today that had developed using this model of democracy. You talk of Qatar, it's not a democratic country. Talk of China, the same thing. But our own brand of democracy, apart from the fact that it is inherently defective and it's about pocket ideology, yet, the people keep deceiving, the leaders keep deceiving the rest of us as if we don't know what we are doing. That's why those who are waiting to steal, I have said it consistently, are more than those stealing. And so people will call you, they will call me, bros, I love what you're doing, but don't die of hunger. If they call you, just join them and chop. That's the people you think you're fighting for. And then you look back, you ask yourself, those that were in opposition before now, who told us that the only way to make Nigeria better was, like I said last time, vote out principalities, demons, and power. That's PDP. But today, they are busy embracing and wooing these principalities, demons, and power to come join them to build Nigeria for the people. Then certainly they must be worse than these principalities. They must be the devil themselves. And these were the same people who told us that, look, they gave us fantastic ideas on how Nigeria can work, fiscal federalism, go back to restructuring and all sorts. But today they are dead. Those same ideas that they once touted and, promoted are no longer good enough. They can't implement their own ideas. So what it means, you now begin to look. So anybody that comes to you again with this beautiful idea of how Nigeria can be better, you look back and then you look at them, you look forward, you say, are they really saying the truth? Like somebody told me in Benin that, look, when I listen to all of you, I just say, everybody's just waiting to get his own. He said, he asked me, he said, they never see pay you. You have been talking for God knows how long. They never see pay you. I'm telling you. He said, so I no longer believe all these things that you people say. He said, because I have heard and I have seen. And then he called the name of my former brother, Egbon, and boss.
Who was paid and kept quiet.
Who was then, some of us, you see him and you're like, yes, I want to be a lawyer. And then later Nigeria happened to all of us.
That is a very comical but equally sad way to put the story. I want to quickly share some information with the public. When we come back, I want to discuss opposition politics in Nigeria. Because now it does quite appear that there are people who do not have the mettle, the stamina, the guts, the will, maybe even the resource to be the opposition. And I guess given the way Nigerians or where Nigerians have found themselves, it may appear that the people are the opposition in some sense. So what exactly is this balancing skill? What's this art of balancing for or against stands, the politics, the people, where the people have found themselves? Because otherwise, it does quite appear that the future politically is almost predicted by the sense that maybe a one-party system may be the way things are going. And if unopposed, then I guess your guess is as good as mine once we consider the future of Nigeria. Lagos, in the meantime, we'll have some information I want to share with you. Off on a break, we'll be right back.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you are looking for the right path to study, live, or work abroad without losing your funds to unscrupulous travel agents, then the Premium Jackpot Summit with Uzo Dudoba is your first port of call. You are going to be getting the opportunity to gain valuable insights, having access to travel loans, learn proven strategies, get insider tips, network with industry leaders, have one-on-one discussions with seasoned travel experts, and take the very next step towards your traveling goals. The date is Saturday the 31st of May 2025. 12 noon is the time. Make sure you are not late. The venue is the ITF building, the 5th floor on Funshaw Williams Avenue in Ikpori, Costain, Lagos. 20,000 naira per head is the gate fee. Make sure that you take note of that. And of course, for your seats, reservations, and other inquiries, please call 0802 383 1303. That is 0802 0802-383-1303 or 0802-377-0699. That is 0802-377-0699. Hurry up and secure your seats because seats are literally filling up fast now. This event is powered by Strong Voice Media and proudly supported by Wazobia FM, Cool FM, and Nigeria Info. Note that we are not in the business of giving visas. Come and experience change.
Quality talk.
Intelligent conversations.
Always interesting.
So engaging.
More news and information coming up. We'll be back in a moment.
For 3 great seasons, the fans have fought with passion and fire. Their best they brought. The banter was bold, the debates were tight. Each word a weapon, each match a fight. But now it's bigger, the stakes much higher. The battle returns and it's full of fire. Fan Battle 4 with Femi and the gang on 99.3 Nigeria Info. The stage is bang. In partnership with Sports Salon, we raise the game with glory, honor, and a shot at fame. Think you've got what it takes to score? Then step right up. It's time for more.
Fan Battle 4 starts Tuesday, June 3rd through July from 7 p.m. weekdays on Nigeria Info.
Fan Battle 4. Let the battle begin.
They say truth sets you free. But in a world where news spreads fast and popular narratives shape opinions, how do you separate truth from deception? Introducing Fact or Propaganda, the show that puts the biggest social, political, and media narratives under the microscope.
More than 60% of the population is below the age of 30. A lot of them haven't been to school. A lot of these young people are not employable.
Every week, we critically analyze narratives shaping our country, separating facts from clever manipulation. Who benefits from these narratives? What's real and what's just propaganda?
Unfortunately, paternity fraud is not a crime in Nigeria. Our laws are silent on this issue.
Join the conversation. Be part of the investigation. Tune in. Join Babatunde Abdusalam every Monday, 10 p.m. to 12 midnight on 99.3 Nigeria Info. And let's uncover the truth together. Fact or propaganda. Only on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Don't just believe. Investigate.
For 3 great seasons, the fans have fought with passion and fire. Their best they brought. The banter was bold, the debates were tight. Each word a weapon, each match a fight. But now it's bigger, the stakes much higher. The battle returns and it's full of fire. Fan Battle 4 with Femi and the gang on 99.3 Nigeria Info. The stage is bang. In partnership with Sports Salon, we raise the game with glory, honor, and a shot at fame. Think you've got what it takes to score? Then step right up. It's time for more.
Fan Battle 4 starts Tuesday, June 3rd through July from 7 p.m. weekdays on Nigeria Info.
Fan Battle 4. Let the battle begin.
99.3 Nigeria Info, your number one station for talk. Let's talk.
It's back, it's bigger, and it's better. The Kids FM Festival 2.0. Get your families ready to have some fun with games, music, and so much more. If you missed out on it last year, you have no excuse this time around. It's happening June the 1st, 2025 at the Balmoral Convention Center, Lagos at 12 p.m. sharp. Make sure you are there. Now, don't miss out on all the fun, the vibes. Bring your friends, brothers, sisters, moms, rather, dads, aunties, uncles, enemies, people you want to be friends with, those you were formerly friends with. Bring everyone. Make sure you guys come and turn up. It's a Kids FM Festival. Let's make memories that will live for the ages. Register now at www.kidsfm.ng. That is kidsfm.ng. Let the countdown begin. Remember, Sunday, June the 1st, the Balmoral Convention Center, 12 p.m., the Kids FM Festival 2.0. It's all about family fun. So come, let us play.
What's that station again?
Oh yeah, Kemo, come by. Here's one thing you need to know about you. So like here we dey talk.
Yep, bullseye. That's the one.
You're listening to 99.3 Nigeria Info's The Sunny Side.
The Sunny Side.
Welcome. My name's Joyce. Activate. We are radioactive on 99.3 Nigeria Info. My name is Joyce.
For news, sports, and talk that you can relate.
If I told you now to come and buy a Shebi for 20,000 naira, that you would quickly get that money out. But if I told you to come and do a health check and you should put down 20,000 naira, you probably would say it's very, very expensive.
That's too much now.
Why should I go and dash one doctor? And because people are not paying attention, people are therefore getting sicker and sicker.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
It's 1 o'clock.
The news update on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
It was a busy day for EFCC operatives in Lagos as they swooped on multiple locations and arrested 120 people for alleged internet fraud. According to the anti-graft agency, those arrested include 95 men and 25 women. The arrests took place on Monday. Following credible intelligence and detailed surveillance, during the operation, officials recovered several high-end items, including 26 exotic cars, expensive jewelry, smartphones, laptops, and documents suspected to be linked to fraudulent activities. The suspects are currently being interrogated as investigations continue. The EFCC says they will be charged to court once investigations are concluded. Get ready, Lagos. Starting the 1st of July this year, the state government will begin full enforcement of the ban on single-use plastics. The government says it has spent nearly 18 months engaging producers, marketers, and other stakeholders in preparation for the move. According to the Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, the ban is aimed at protecting the environment and future generations. He noted that the state government has given ample time to align with global best practices. He made this known via his official X handle on Monday, adding that just like the successful ban on styrofoam, the government will insist on accountability and responsibility. In Zamfara State, Governor Daud Alawal says his administration is committed to providing residents with quality and affordable healthcare. He gave the assurance while inaugurating the newly renovated General Hospital in Anka. The hospital now features upgraded male and female wards, a pharmacy block, a new administrative block, a modern theatre, an X-ray unit. It also includes newly built emergency, laboratory, maternity, dental, and eye care units. Governor Lawal said all medical and electrical installations were completed within a year and in line with contract terms. He maintains that the investment has transformed the hospital into a modern facility that will improve healthcare access for people in Anka and surrounding communities. He also urged hospital staff to properly manage the facility and deliver their best in service to the people. And as Nigeria marks World Hypertension Day, citizens are being urged to monitor their blood pressure regularly and adopt healthier lifestyles. President of the Nigerian Hypertension Society, Professor Simeon Isezwo, gave the advice during a free medical checkup at Sokoto Central Market. He described hypertension as a silent killer, often showing no symptoms, and emphasized the importance of regular checks and healthy living to prevent sudden death and other complications. And that's all from our newsroom at this time. You are listening to The Sunny Side with Joyce on 99.3 Nigeria Info. I am Yvonne Ohaifo. Thank you for your time, Lagos.
Quality talk.
Intelligent conversations.
Always interesting.
So engaging.
Sometimes even mind-boggling.
Nigeria Info. Ask everyone. Anyone. Activate. Activate. We are radioactive on 99.3 Nigeria Info. My name is Joyce.
We're back and we're live 4 minutes past 1 p.m. Good afternoon to you and welcome if you have just tuned in. You're on the sunny side and my name is Joyce. This afternoon we're continuing our conversation. Nigerians looking forward to 2027. A question that I'm hoping you may have asked yourself, given the fact that all the puzzles appear to be moving at the same time. And to help us really delve into this conversation proper is our guest, Liboris Oshoma. And we are back to the heart of the matter. And before the break, I needed him to explain opposition politics. One, it doesn't appear that opposition politics is strong. Maybe not now in Nigeria, but what can you tell us about opposition politics and who's playing it? Who should play it?
First and foremost, we need to understand that politics shouldn't just be about being in power. Even though the essence of politics is a group of people who comes together for the essence, with the same ideology, purpose of controlling power. But some persons, political parties can come together and say, you know what, we don't want to play national politics. We just want to dominate this local government or this, states. And ABGA in Anambra, you have never heard them. They can align, but you've never heard them saying we want to play, at the national level. Even though, yes, at every election they have a presidential candidate, but they know that maybe just to fulfill all righteousness. But you find out that politicians that have tasted power, across the divide, north, south, east, west, they always want to remain in power. They are never ready to play opposition party. So opposition politics. And so when that happens, what you find is that we gradually, gravitate towards a one-party state. Where, and also coupled with the fact that we have so impoverished the people, unlike before. Politicians, for you to be a member of a political party, you must subscribe financially to that party. Okay. You pay your financial dues, just like membership of an association. But today, people belong to political parties, not because they want to contribute to the party, but because the party should contribute to them. And where does the party get money from? From people who are in power. And so, if you are a councillor, there's a specific amount that you must remit to your party. Not from your pocket, but from the coffers of the public. So when you do that, if you don't, then be sure that you won't get a return ticket. So when you do that, there are people who are hangers-on, who are waiting to collect something from the party. They have burials, they will come to you. Their children, naming ceremony, they will come to you. They're doing anything, school fees, they come to you. So indirectly, what you now do, you impoverish them because you consistently give them. And so they are ready to be impoverished because they always have a way of moving to certain persons to collect. So, when you are now out of power, like Ruben Abati once said, your phone will stop ringing. Your house that used to be a beehive of activities suddenly, becomes very, very empty. Very empty. Oshomole as party chairman, as governor of Edo State, anytime anywhere he goes, you see, young boys, everybody hailing him, Osho Quick, Osho this, Osho that. Built a massive house in the village, built another one in Abuja, was relocated, and then he became party national chairman. In fact, the crowd doubled. Now it was no longer just from his states, everywhere. Governors were waiting on him, and those that want tickets. And then suddenly, that light went off. The politics that ensued, and then he lost that seat. It was like a joke to him. And then gradually, you get to his compound, you see him seated by one corner, of the compound, the massive compound. Nobody, not a soul. No, his phone stopped ringing. And then the man was like, no. Is this how it's going to end? This was supposed to be a leader. And then, before you know it, the man dust his political resume and said, look, I need to go back to the Senate. Because once you are there, that's when people remember you. And that's why, even when Tinubu left office in Lagos, he still ensured that he had his hand on the financial levers and ensured that he determines and dictates who becomes governor, who become who. That way, he still became very relevant. And that's why you see in other states, you see there's a battle between a governor and a former governor. Like the fight between Wike and Fubara, it's about political relevance. And for those that can't do that, what do? They move to the ruling party because you want to be relevant. And that's when you now ask, why are you moving to the ruling party? They say, because of my people. Meanwhile, you were governor for 8 years and you didn't do anything for your people. Now that you're out of power, you all of a sudden want to move to the party at the center because of your people. Uduaghan became a governor for 8 years in Delta State. Immediately he left office, he said he wants to go to Senate because there were some projects on infant maternal mortality that he initiated as governor. And so he wants to now take it to the national so that he can make laws in that regard. You know how comical these reasons are. And so when you have all of that, gradually everybody gravitates, everybody's chasing the money, not minding whether there's integrity or no integrity, ideology. So we subscribe to the chase, mad rush for money. When somebody steals a phone, the news, EFCC raids, Yahoo boys. But I can tell you, this is not me trying to support, fraudulent activities. But I can tell you that EFCC will not raid government houses like that or raid politicians' houses like that, even though they are worse than Yahoo boys. So that's why when you become a Yahoo boy, and then once you have enough money, you now, legalize your Yahoo by joining politics.
Oh, I see.
Yes, once you join, you become, a politician, a stakeholder in the Nigerian project. And if your party, loses election, you move to the ruling party. So that way, the ruling party becomes always relevant. And then you and I will be debating, no opposition, no, we are moving to a one-party state. Because here, the winner takes it all. Politics is not about interrogating issues. It's about, look, I need to be relevant financially. That's all it is. And that's why, and because people don't contribute to political parties, that's why opposition will never be strong here.
In 2015, the former vice president, Osibajo, spoke on a parallel government. It kind of created a kind of debate back in the day. And now that I'm discussing with you on this issue to pretty much understand opposition, it comes to mind, and one wonders whether the people are forced enough to be that opposition.
You see, yes, they are. Because anybody in power, the people actually relinquish their power for those people to be in power. All the people need to do is to take back their power. And they are not as strong as
and create a parallel government? Is that what you're talking about?
No. Let's understand this idea of a parallel government, because currently there's a battle between DSS and Pat Tomi on the word shadow government.
Okay, this is getting interesting.
On the word shadow government. So Pat Tomi has an NGO. I've forgotten the name of the NGO now. They said we're going to create a shadow government to monitor the activities of the government. And so the DSS had said it will encourage secession, that once you allow that name, shadow government, in a democratic dispensation, a presidential system, even though the government is not in power, even though the shadow government, they are not in power, but that the name would, give the impression that it's a government outside of government. And so it will embolden others to begin to create their own shadow government here, government there, and that the NGO can be called any other name but shadow government. They are currently in court, So, and then, but if you look at it from the flip side, you say, look, well, it's an NGO, and just like what Budget is doing, monitoring the activities of government. And but also, as a lawyer, you would say that it's not every name that the Corporate Affairs register. A name that will give the impression that it has a federal government imprimatur, or that he will, create confusion in the mind of the people. Most times they don't register it. So they will wait for the court to decide that. But all that there is Pat Utomi wants to create an NGO, which is laudable, that will monitor government activities and report and what can be done and how it can be done well. But the government frowns at the word shadow government. So now coming to what do you call
the
it?
Statement of the former vice president, the parallel government. Can we understand that?
Which is the same thing like a shadow government. Because if you use the word government, that's why I told you that the same thing these people was propounded when they were in opposition. The moment they got into government, they become scared of anybody even mentioning it. Parallel government. If you say you are creating a parallel government, that's government outside of government. It's the same thing like saying, oh, we have a shadow government. But, it was a heated debate then. The PDP then, who said, this is the irony of Nigeria. The PDP then, who argued vehemently that was like creating a government outside of government, that it was a vice presidential candidate. It wasn't in government then, Oshibanjo, I remember. PDP were in government. They argued vehemently that that was creating government out of government. Why the APC, campaigning to take over government from Jonathan, argued that it was within their right to create a parallel government, to monitor the government, and if the election does not go their own way, they were going to create a parallel government. But today, the PDP is in opposition and they support Pat Utomi's call. Why the APC that said they were going to create a parallel government are now condemning Pat Utomi's call. So you see the irony. So it depends, it's a mentality of power. And so the people, now coming to the people, you saw the election in 2015, yes, and then you saw the election in 2023. The people, what the robos call unu takunu, mouth tell mouth. The people engaged in, campaign, massive. Look, and do you know, I can tell you, if not for the division from the north, by Atiku, Bola Tinubu, they know we wouldn't have won that election. But unfortunately, it is what it is past. But have they learned any lesson? Does the opposition themselves learned any lessons? No, the answer is no. Because from what I learned this in the news today also, that they are wooing Peter Obi to join Atiku, join hands with Atiku now. And then you ask yourself, what does Atiku see in that ticket? Did any Marabou tell Atiku that if you do not become the president of Nigeria, that your name would... It gets to a point in life where you tell yourself, look, you know what? Let me groom others. I've passed my prime.
Isn't this what you call a career politician?
That's the problem. So the moment you don't know when to retire, even as a career politician, a career whatever, you don't know when to retire. Was it Dari Babadirisa or Dan Agbese now of Newswatch those days who called it knowing when to die? That Murtala Mohammed knew when to die, but Babangida didn't know when to die. And so, if Babangida had stayed for those few months, when he came and people eulogized him and he left, people would have said, oh, this guy, if he had continued. If Buhari had, remained the way he was, that name, people had said, oh, if only Buhari were president today. So, Atiku does not know when to say no. If Peter Obi makes the mistake of his life by going to play second fiddle.
I was just about to ask you that question because I have it on my question paper.
By going to play second fiddle to Atiku, he will understand that the love was for him, not for Atiku. And that those people, a lot of the people who supported him and who felt, look, you are as the number one man, you can go the Oho, will be disappointed. Because now people are asking, where's Kasim Shettima? So they will play it back and say, look, that means if Peter Obi becomes vice, that he can be relegated. He can be relegated. And also that there's an arrangement where Atiku can just go for one term and then thereafter he will go. What's the guarantee that, politicians, you can't use their water to plant corn? What's the guarantee that after that 4 years or 2 years into office, they will not be talking of second term for the president? Remember Obasanjo in 2023, it was the same problem that, the agreement they had was 1 term. So when you look at all of this and then you ask yourself, I doubt Peter Obi should be more sensible than this. Why wouldn't Atiku be the one to support Peter Obi and say, look, I will support you with my finances, I will support you with
my
supporters and everything from the north, and then we align yours from the east and middle belt and from the south, and let's see how we can truly rescue.
It's a power game.
So, but no, he would rather want to be on
head.
The ballot,
and
be
then
the head. And if he attempts it and takes Peter Obi, what happened in 2019 will repeat itself, and Tinubu will take it again. And then after that, they'll be in disarray again on what should have been, and then lawyers will make money at the tribunal, and
the circle is repeating all over again.
So the best way is because the people also are not fools. The people are not fools. Because the people saw in Peter Obi was, look, was like what they saw in Jonathan in 2011. When he came and said he had no shoes, but he became president and took all the shoes. So
he wasn't that guy who took all the shoes, was he?
Was, because you know why? Because it became worse now that we're now looking at that time and say, it is better.
Was he docile? Was he feeble? Was he incapable?
President Jonathan. Joyce, you've forgotten. We were having this debate.
I'm glad I have forgotten, because this is exactly what I would love to not remember.
Exactly. So, and if you remember all of those transformation agenda, all the funds, and it was that time that this Desiani issues.
There you go. Thank you very much.
So he wasn't good also, but because now they've taken it to another level, and that's why you now say that devil was better. After all, bag of rice. Then the people that told us that 1 naira will become $1 today have taken it to 1,600 plus. So that's where you begin. It was that same love that people, the man that had no shoe, they could relate with him. That's the same love that people extended to Peter Obi, and not to Labour. And that's why today Labour is in disarray. And so if Peter Obi thinks that love can be extended to Atiku if he goes to play second fiddle, people will rather, a lot of people in the south and middle belt will say, you know what, let the southerner continue instead of this mad craze of, it must be a northerner after the, years of Buhari must be.
I have you where I want you. Because the PSYOP, when you hear the news report, this person has defected now with the APC. This one your godfather has moved. Your godfather's children are moving, and the unborn children are moving. It almost feels as though, so who is going to hold forth when it comes to the opposition? Then it gives us the story of El Rufai.
Yeah, you see,
I don't know where to begin, so just pick it up, because
that's another thing. You hear them. El Rufai's son is in APC.
Okay.
He has moved to SDP.
Okay.
So see, let me tell you, Joyce. I don't hold my breath anytime politicians move, because the very next day they can move back. I'm telling you.
Okay.
So when El Rufai said, I will never leave APC, it's all, in the heat of the moment. It's like a man who tells a woman, I love you to death. And the very next day say, if you don't leave my house, one person will die. So like my people will say, no be I where they take chop eba, no be they take share meat.
What's his grievance? Because it does quite appear now that he's offended at something. We're not sure.
Now, his portfolio. First, he started with some schemers. His name. Look, let me tell you, when these people talk, if you listen at your peril. After the election, he said, no. Bola wants me, but I think I have done my best. I need to go and rest.
Exactly.
I really don't need to be any... I need to go and rest. Oh, Najege.
What's that? He's posing. Okay. Yeah, he's posing.
And then after the election, we learned he was nominated for minister. I never heard him one day say, I don't want to. And then some people who were scheming already for 2027 schemed him out using security report. And what did the man say subsequently? to buttress what we already knew, that if the president wanted him, he would have, despite the security report, that nothing would have happened. But it's because the man didn't want him, a man he supported. So he felt cheated out of power. So since I've been cheated out of power, I will do everything to frustrate him and either move back in with him or, grab the power.
Become the opposition for...
Mind you, they were never friends. You remember El-Rufai used to criticize the man in Lagos.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden he supported him because they thought that working together, El-Rufai also had always seen himself as the traditional heir apparent to the Buhari, political dynasty.
Okay.
And that was why he was criticizing Buhari, that he should groom a successor. But
unfortunately, we have to be off on a break, Lagos. I know you're enjoying this. We'll be right back. Do not go anywhere. When we return, the conversation continues.
More talk, news, and sports after this.
For 3 great seasons, the fans have fought with passion and fire. Their best they brought. The banter was bold, the debates were tight. Each word a weapon, each match a fight. But now it's bigger, the stakes much higher. The battle returns, and it's full of fire. Grand Battle 4 with Femi and the gang. The 99.3 Nigeria Info. The stage is bang. In partnership with Sports Salon, we raise the game with glory, honor, and a shot at fame. Think you've got what it takes to score? Step right up. It's time for more.
Fan Battle 4 starts Tuesday, June 3rd through July from 7 p.m. weekdays on Nigeria Info.
Fan Battle 4. Let the battle begin.
Exciting games, music, dance, and fun for every family.
Join us for the 2nd edition of the Kids FM Festival, happening June 1st, 2025 at Balmoral Convention Center, Lagos, 12 p.m. sharp.
Don't miss the fun! Don't miss the vibe! Bring your brothers and sisters, your daddy and mommy, even your uncles and aunties to join this exciting moment. Even your friends aren't left out. It's the Kids FM Festival. Let's make memories that sparkle!
Register now at www.kidsfm.ng. Let the countdown begin. Proudly brought to you by Kids FM, where every kid's a star.
They say truth sets you free. But in a world where news spreads fast and popular narratives shape opinions, how do you separate truth from deception? Introducing Fact or Propaganda, the show that puts the biggest social, political, and media narratives under the microscope.
More than 60% of the population is below the age of 30. A lot of them hadn't been to school. A lot of these young people are not employable.
Every week, we critically analyze narratives shaping our country, separating facts from clever manipulation. Who benefits from these narratives? What's real and what's just propaganda?
Unfortunately, paternity fraud is not a crime in Nigeria. Our laws are silent on this issue.
Join the conversation. Be part of the investigation. Tune in. Join Babatunde Abdusalam every Monday, 10 p.m. to 12 midnight on 99.3 Nigeria Info. And let's uncover the truth together. Fact or propaganda. Only on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Don't just believe. Investigate.
For 3 great seasons, the fans have fought with passion and fire. Their best they brought. The banter was bold, the debates were tight. Each word a weapon, each match a fight. But now it's bigger, the stakes much higher. The battle returns, and it's full of fire. Grand Battle 4 with Femi and the gang. The 99.3 Nigeria Info. The stage is bang. In partnership with Sports Salon, we raise the game with glory, honor, and a shot at fame. Think you've got what it takes to score? Step right up. It's time for more.
Fan Battle 4 starts Tuesday, June 3rd through July from 7 p.m. weekdays on Nigeria Info.
Fan Battle 4. Let the battle begin.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
Your number one station for talk. Let's talk.
Activate. Activate. We are radio active on 99.3 Nigeria Info. My name is Joyce.
99.3 Nigeria Info, the sunny side. It's 29 minutes past 1 p.m. Okay, so you may find politics exhausting as much as it can be confusing. Well, before the break, we were trying to figure out El Rufai and what his disconcerted feelings may contain. He has now cross-carpeted to SDP, and he says, and I quote, "The president can mobilize all the state governors, but if Nigerians reject him, it's over." I mean, you're laughing, but I also think that the president is also aware of what is possible, and so he's befriending anybody who doesn't mind being his friends. I mean, we can see that.
You see, that statement is true. But coming from El Rufai, that's where I'm laughing.
Ah, there you go.
You know, because when they are out of favor, they remember Nigerians. They align with Nigerians. Oh, Nigerians, we Nigerians. But when they are in power, the question is, do you know who I am? It is no longer we Nigerians. It is, do you know who you are talking to? Do you know who I am? So they are disconnected. Okay. So that's why I'm laughing, because, yes, the statement is true. If Nigerians decide that, that's why I said the people relinquish their power for these people to have power. And so if they decide today and say, you know what, irrespective of divide, though tongue and tribe may differ, we'll stand in brotherhood, we want somebody who will truly take us out of the wood. Yeah. They will do it. Nigerians will do it. You see, an election is not a 100-meter dash. It's a marathon. In 2023, you saw the frustrations, but people stood their ground. And after that frustration, a lot of people will say, I don't want to do this again. But that's what they want. For you to say you don't want to do it again, they frustrate you. Power is not given a la carte. You must, right from the time of John the Baptist, the kingdom of God survived violence. Only the violent take it by force. So you must, they are not sleeping. They hold meetings at 9. So why are you sleeping? You must also be ready to hold meetings, move around as a people. Okay. That's the only way you can take power from them. If El Rufai was in APC today, he would tell you, no, that this is a divine mandate. He will be preaching. Okay. So that's just it. Right. And then, these people are not quarreling. So why should I quarrel with anybody? People like me on social media, I don't block anybody. If you insult me, it's your prerogative to disagree with me and insult me. But I see people who also tell me, Liboros, continue what you're doing. I love what you do. I love the fact that, you are bold to say it as it is. So when I sit back and I ask myself, what will these people say? Like my late dad used to say, remember the son of whom you are. We might not have money, we have a big name. And today, to a very large extent, when you hear that name, Oshoma, the first thing that comes, do you know Liboros Oshoma? So, but I don't want a situation where people will say, do you know that stupid man who I used to listen to, only for him to just capitulate.
All right. No. Well, since that's your position, it's not a hot seat.
Since I came to Lagos more than 30 years ago, I've been living in the same 3-bedroom flat. The same. The only thing I do, if it becomes too old, I have money, I remodel. I've been living in the same 3-bedroom. Today, my children are grown. They've gone to the university. I still live there. The house, that 3-bedroom is becoming lonely. So now imagine going to build a mansion. And yet people see me as a very rich man because I am rich internally, because I give. So why do I now need to drive a Rolls Royce with retinue of security when you know that it is transient? Where was those days? Imagine Fashola, imagine him as a governor. If he coughs, crowd will be running after him. But today, you no longer hear of him. But there are some, if I call some names now, Mbadinuju, some people won't even know that they were once governor in this dispensation. They will remember Sam Bakwe, but they won't remember Mbadinuju. And that's why they say, if you don't want to be forgotten, as soon as you leave the stage, it is not about how much you acquire, but how much impact you made in people's lives.
So the people pretty much must accept that they're alone politically.
Yes, they are alone.
So the closest thing that they can have to a brother or a shepherd who's leading a sheep on a green or possible green pasture would be a Peter Obi. After the 2023 elections, I remember having a conversation with you, and you spoke on what may have informed Peter Obi's defeat. In fact, you thought that it wasn't even possible for him to have emerged a winner, given the short time window and the fact that he had not gone around campaigning and promoting his philosophies or political persuasions in order to get people to follow or support him. The Nigerian people whom you say can become the opposition, given that everybody else is probably in the biggest party or they are forming a new coalition, I think it leaves the Nigerian naked of a sort, because they want someone who gives them something to believe in, and not much. There isn't much to believe in.
You know, the difference here is that they wait for someone to come to give them something where they can create something. You know, I tell people, like, look, and, you know, do a mood trial of the events for the week at the assembly, who will move which motion and who will oppose. They rehearse. Not to talk of the National Assembly. You cannot become anything at the National Assembly without the consent of whoever becomes president. Some people said, they point to Buhari, and I tell them and I point to Lawa. When Lawa became this Senate president, anything that came from the villa, you know, was the eyes will have it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing we are seeing now. And so the question is, if you are not even interested in people that go to represent you at the assembly, those people who will either oppose or concur with the president, that's what makes him powerful. Let's even start from somewhere. You know, let's begin to look at those small units. It is when we are able to change those smaller units and then now, you know, not make the president a behemoth, you know, with the kind of enormous power that they have.
But the presidents tend to make themselves that. They make themselves...
Because the people do not understand the powers that they have. Some of us don't vote. When we vote, we don't even bother. Just say, okay, which party? Okay, the ruling party. Okay, anyway, whether we vote or not, they will still win. Okay, let's just join them, you know? So, but in the last election, some person said, no, we won't do that. Okay, there's a third force. What has happened to that force? Just is gradually fizzling out, and then they are looking for a way to realign again. And like
what
I
force
told
is
you
that
time, the third force. Labour Party was the third force.
Okay, good.
And then, like I told you that time, because of the time, it was only known in the South and the Middle Belt, who felt, look, Middle Belt largely because they also felt shortchanged, especially with the insecurity coming from up north. But after the election, one would have expected a consolidation. Now let us move it to the north. Let us take it round. It's not happening
yet.
Rather, what you see, apart from APC, yes, they have their crisis, but their crises are limited to the one that PDP and Labour Party has, and it's okay for the ruling party. They enjoy it when opposition party are in crisis, and so the entire, you can say, one day is enough in politics, but yet there's a lot of groundwork that needs to be done.
So the people
is the
should
party doing that groundwork to win more people, you know, across board? The answer is no.
Yeah, okay. Now, the people now, the responsibility that's theirs is to involve themselves in some sense.
See, yes, you need to involve people. The people need to get involved. Let me tell you, at some point, I tried to. Let me even start from my small organization, my small group. Let's even have a group of people. Let us. Joyce, if you've ever joined a WhatsApp group, you become an admin of that WhatsApp group, you won't do another job. Because you will have to consistently monitor. Just say, don't post anything that is not relevant to this group. Some people will tell you, I'm sorry, I didn't read the rules and regulation. And then after some time, some people will say you are becoming dictatorial by insisting on the rules. So I belong to various platforms, including that of lawyers. And you see the kind of insults, colleagues, friends, classmates, over politicians that do not know us. You know, so that's where the people, you know, so you ask yourself, these same people, are we truly ready? Are we ready as a people?
The question...
Irrespective of the party that wins, you always have those that will support them and those that will criticize them. And yet, and do you know why it is like that, Joyce? If you take our business climate, it's not different from our politics. If you take our social environment, it's not different from our politics. If you take our religious, society, it's not different from our politics. So that's why some people will tell you what we need is a reorientation. Because everybody's chasing one thing, money, irrespective of how you get it. So you become rich or die trying. It doesn't matter how you become rich. And that's why you have association of Yahoo mothers. And then you go and collect chieftaincy titles. So everybody's chasing money, and then you get into office. The same people that want good government will tell you, who you help? What have you done for me? Just the day you are appointed chief press secretary or commissioner for technology in your state, Imo, Abia, Anambra, that's the day you know that your primary school mates are still alive. They'll take out paid adverts. And then after that, proposals. Because there's so much poverty, everybody will bring in proposal. Nobody, at that point, nobody will sit you down to say, or maybe a few friends will say, okay, look, you need to create something, make a name, do this right. Even when they are telling you that, it is, what is in it for me?
This is exhausting.
So that's why, at the end of the day, this same set of people will come, criticize the previous government, then they take over, they do the same thing or even worse, and then another set of people will criticize them.
The circle all over again
continues.
So the Nigerian people are not
break it.
Good.
The only way we can break it is simple. Because we do not speak the same language politically. Politically, I mean, yes, it's still happening at our various local level, but we see politics as all commerce. It's like free for all, where everybody rush to go grab the one you can grab before it collapses. So, and then the center is too far and too big. So if you decide to go back to the 1963 Constitution, for example, where we operated regional government, with a weak center, look, everybody, take the Southeast, for example. People will say, you know what, we are not going to Abuja. Now we here, Mamadu. If you do anything here, because nothing is coming from Abuja, everything is here. We'll kill ourselves here to make it right. Those in the Southwest will say, Mbano, it won't work. We will ensure that it works here, because nothing is coming from outside. We'll lock ourselves in, we'll fight, and then we'll make it right. But I agree that there are exceptions where you now have everybody creating autonomous communities because they want goods to come to their end, where even at the local level, they'll say, this village produced the chairman last time. Now it is the turn. But it is going to be different. And then somebody will say, oh, China. In China is even bigger with a more larger population, but they had a central government that are able to do it. Our mentality is different from theirs. Singapore too, smaller, but their mentality is different from ours. Ours is, we need to understand where we are coming from, where we missed it, and then we need to go back to that place where, because today, you say you want to construct road from Lagos to Calabar. The man in the north will say, okay, because he's a southern president, they are constructing roads to their place. So you quickly say, let's construct another one from Sokoto to Lagos, to Badagry. And then you are not asking how much is available for this construction. You start all of the work simultaneously. At the end of the day, you leave office, it's not completed, it's abandoned, and the next man comes. Rather than following those projects, you say, no, this is not my priority now. We see even happen in state. But when there's homogeneity and the crowd, those who wants to chop, it is easier and fewer to manage. And the resources are not coming from anywhere else but within.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah, there'll be quarrel, there'll be fights, but the people will be awoken to their responsibility because they believe that the resources is from them. Now, the resources is not from the people don't believe, they don't even understand that the resources is from them. They believe that the resources is coming from somewhere else. Yeah. After that, oil in the Niger Delta, a few taxes here and there, and then natural resources here and there, and then the government. So they don't even know how government generates money. So they think it's, one magic money. So it does not come from them, and so they don't care. But if the money is coming, they know that, this money is coming from, they will continue to ask questions. And when the people ask questions and they know that, look, the elections is even, more easier to manage. When they sneeze, the leaders will listen. You look at the election in Lagos State now. My friend Sanwo-Olu was almost turned to an usher in church after the presidential election. The man was busy attending every event because the people put him on his toes. So after that election, are the people still putting politicians on their toe? Rather, this Yahoo that we are reading and then we're doing my leaders are for the politicians.
Okay, so I think people have questions. I want to open up the telephone lines, but I also have maybe what would appear to be a final question. You're a legal practitioner, and then out of Akwa Ibom Northwest Senatorial District came this report that a gentleman falsified election results in favor of Akpabio, the then APC senatorial candidate.
2019.
Exactly.
2019 election, and Akpabio lost that case.
So here we hear that the court upheld.
Ogban.
Exactly. So the court has upheld conviction of that professor for manipulating the election result in favor of Akpabio, but reports also suggest that he's a free man.
Who? The professor?
Yeah.
No, the professor was convicted and he appealed. And so the Court of Appeal has upheld his conviction.
Exactly. So he's going to what now?
Yes,
serve 6 months in prison and pay a fine of 100,000?
No. The man, there was no fine. There was no option of fine.
No fine, just 6 months in prison.
No, I think it's 2 years imprisonment, not 6 months.
So what does that say for the process? Because, and this is just my thought. Like, if
first and foremost, for that case, I need to give kudos and credit to Barrister Mikey Guinea, who was the resident electoral commissioner in Akwa Ibom State at that time.
Yeah.
And where is he today?
What do you mean?
He's been eased out of INEC. If not for him, Professor Utuk and Professor Ogban wouldn't have been convicted. Because we've had cases like that, and INEC would say it is the responsibility of the police to prosecute. They push the cases to the police will compromise them. But in this one, INEC, by virtue of, I think, Section 125 of the Electoral Act, invoke the powers of INEC to prosecute. After all, INEC employ lawyers to defend election petition. So they invoke the powers of INEC to prosecute, and the President Electoral Commissioner got a lawyer to prosecute those two cases. And the two cases, after they have been warehoused between several judges, the chief judge remitted it back to the initial trial judge, and judgment was delivered. Also to encourage the judges. Yes, the judges have delivered those judgments. Even their junior have been promoted to Court of Appeal, but they are still there. But, we must also commend them. But the thing is, you see where the law is very funny. So, and that's where professors and people who are used to manipulate election should be careful. Today, if you are not able to create a nexus between that man who compromised the process and maybe the winner or the perceived winner, if there is no nexus that truly this man connived, or there is a connivance, there's a conspiracy, you'll be convicted. You go in for a crime that you are not a beneficiary of. So that's where the problem, that's where the legal challenger or legal quagmire, like we say, is.
All right.
Somebody who benefited from that judgment, even though at the end of the day, I think it was 2019 election, the tribunal, he went to the tribunal, and the tribunal, Ekpeyon got judgment at the tribunal. I think it was the Court of Appeal where Akpabio eventually got judgment or so. Remember, he was a minister. It was at that point where the Honorable Minister off your mic, Minister for Niger Delta, and the rest. So, but at the end of the day, you need to, after that conviction, you need to create, a conspiracy. You need to establish conspiracy between the beneficiary and the man who actually committed.
And that's what didn't happen.
That didn't happen. That's another offense on its own. So you charge both together. But that didn't happen. And so that's why We need to have our eyes on people who goes to the National Assembly.
So it means that the Nigerian people, besides just charging your leaders with accountability, you have to be involved the process.
You don't expect
and cry foul where you deem an issue.
Joyce, let me tell you, somebody came to me and said, if the Ghanaians of this world were alive, and I said, you are Ghani? He said, no, he's not a lawyer. Oh, Ghani. I said, look, what stopped you from paying a lawyer to take up a public interest matter? Must the lawyer be the one to take it up? Can't you brief a lawyer? If you have a problem now, won't you brief a lawyer? What stops you from briefing a lawyer and say, look, I want to fight this cause. Take this money and fight it for me.
And that's what the people can collectively do.
That's what the people can do, but you're waiting for somebody to fight your cause.
Okay.
And then only for at the end of the day you want to benefit. That's what politicians do too. They say, well, you didn't fight with us when we are in the battle fighting for the political office. So now you want to reap the benefit. So the Okada riders and those you call Agberus that fought with them, that joined political parties, will become your commissioners and your ministers, and then you just be complaining.
Telephone lines, 99.3 Nigeria Info, you're on the sunny side. I know that you have questions, and I want to attempt to answer as many of your questions as we can afford. 0201-277-0993 and 0201-465-7190. According to my guest, Nigerians do not appear to be ready for what's in the future. So let's hear your questions, and do us all a favor, just for the sake of time. You want to get to the question exactly. Hello, Nigeria Info, you're on the sunny side. Good afternoon to you.
Sister, good evening. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Welcome. Could you ask your question, please?
Yes. I greet you and the barrister are too much. I want to ask barrister, say, why are radio guests shying away from telling us why INEC on FIFA 26th of February 2023 5 p.m. and why did they announce the result at 3 a.m.? That was why they robbed P2OP. Are you hearing me? So why is Nigeria radio guests shying away from that office of FIFA? Thank you very much. Answer me.
Welcome. If you have a name, I want to hear it. Hello? If you can hear me, hello.
Yeah, hello. Good afternoon.
Afternoon to you. Welcome to Nigeria Info. What's your name? To ask a question?
Okay, this is Genesis calling from Ikoju.
Good. Go ahead.
Oh, now, my question is that, please, why can't Peter Obi do coming 2027? And what is the preparation towards INEC? Because the biggest problem would be is INEC.
Okay.
So, what are the preparations towards that?
Thank you. Well, you're not a member of the Labour Party, Mr. Laboris Oshama, but we're hoping you can give us a few clues.
Let me answer the first one.
Okay.
The first question. You know, you see, what we should be, you know, I'm a student of history, so permit me, I always like backing up my answers with history. In 1999, before the election, there was the Electoral Act 1998. In 2003, excuse me, there was Electoral Act Amendment 2002. Then for 2007 election, there was Amendment 2006. 2011, there was Amendment 2010. And then 2015 was when Buhari, you know, the amendment for Jonathan didn't come into being before the election. And by 2019, Buhari said, no, he wasn't going to sign anything because he was part of the election. Those not too young to rule. Please, you people should hold on until I'm no more in the ballot. So what we should be asking for now is that there is a process. We saw the lapses. We saw the lapses in the process, and they called it glitch. Glitch can be anything. We saw INEC glitch. Now we saw jam glitch. Well, who knows the next glitch? Glitch can be anything. So what do we want? How do we avoid this glitch? Because you can say it can happen. And till day, they will tell you, technology people will tell you, yes, it can happen. But I am not a technology person. I wasn't part of the process. That is for them. But how do we avoid a glitch in the future? Let's have a situation where right from, instead of the election portal being a viewing portal just for viewing, let us have a process, just like the NBA election, right from the polling unit. You don't need to be sitting down somewhere collating. Right at the polling unit, let the results be uploaded, and then the automated system can be collating, and we'll just see the lines moving. You know, it makes it easy. It makes it very simple. So that way, it is when there are conflicts, you now begin to look at, you know, like the Florida election, let's look at the manual voting and the what do you call it, the
Electronic,
automated
yeah.
electronic system.
Okay.
But that process of transmitting electronic results real-time online, it will help in a long way. And I learned
that was the
now,
idea. That was the initial idea.
yes,
So
that was
we're
the
totally
initial idea.
surprised.
Yeah. So, but now that you have an amendment in process, people are calling for amendment. That's also, it's instead of looking back consistently and then we'll go back to the glitch. Let's go back to anything that is not contained. Unlike section 93 that says even though documentary evidence can speaks for themselves, but you can need where there is a conflict. Let's go back to say anything not contained in
the electoral,
the electronic automated system.
Okay.
Should be discounted. Simple.
Lagos will quickly go from the break. We'll be right back to give answers to your questions.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
For 3 great seasons, the fans have fought with passion and fire. Their best they brought. The banter was bold, the debates were tight. Each word a weapon, each match a fight. But now it's bigger, the stakes much higher. The battle returns, and it's full of fire. Fan Battle 4 with Femi and the gang on 99.3 Nigeria Info. The stage is bang. In partnership with Sports Salon, we raise the game with glory, honor, and a shot at fame. Think you've got what it takes to score? Then step right up. It's time for more.
Fan Battle 4 starts Tuesday, June 3rd through July from 7 p.m. weekdays on Nigeria Info.
Fan Battle 4. Let the battle begin.
Every day is about winning with one play on Nigeria Info. On Nigeria Info, daily winnings is now over 150,000 naira. Just go to oneplay.ng or dial *347 *880 *3#. Play with as little as 500 naira, and in a few seconds, your ticket is in the draw. The more you play, the better your chances of winning every day on the Morning Crossfire, WhatsApp Lagos, and Game On shows on weekdays and the Football Frenzy shows on weekends. But that's not all. Every Friday, there will be a 500,000 naira jackpot. Playing during the week automatically qualifies you for the weekly jackpot. Your chances of winning are the same, whether you play on oneplay.ng or dial *347 *880 *3#. Remember to play responsibly. Not suitable for persons under the age of 18. OnePlay is a registered trademark under Lasho Trading Services Limited, licensed by the Lagos State Lotteries and Gaming Commission.
Everyone says I'm beautiful and bold. They say I'm fashionable, and to crown it up, very confident. And my secret is...
People say I'm good looking, funny, hardworking, and to crown it up, very confident. And my secret is...
So whether in the office or at home,
in the streets or on the dance floor,
anytime, any day, I never lose my confidence. And the secret to my confidence is Wazobia perfume.
Absolutely. Wazobia perfume gives the authenticity and long-lasting fragrance all day. That's my secret confidence.
Wazobia perfume is available in body spray.
Also available in supermarkets and markets near you. Wazobia perfume, the correct scent.
For 3 great seasons, the fans have fought with passion and fire. Their best they brought. The banter was bold, the debates were tight. Each word a weapon, each match a fight. But now it's bigger, the stakes much higher. The battle returns, and it's full of fire. Fan Battle 4 with Femi and the gang on 99.3 Nigeria Info. The stage is bang. In partnership with Sports Salon, we raise the game with glory, honor, and a shot at fame. Think you've got what it takes to score? Then step right up. It's time for more.
Fan Battle 4 starts Tuesday, June 3rd through July from 7 p.m. weekdays on Nigeria Info.
Fan Battle 4. Let the battle begin.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We are back.
We're
on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Quality talk.
Intelligent conversations.
Always interesting.
So engaging.
Sometimes even mind-boggling.
Nigeria Info. Nigeria Info. Ask everyone. Anyone. If news is your quest, or gist your request, well, somewhere over your rainbows.
Over your rainbow.
Is the sunny side.
They better know it.
With Joyce.
It's okay. That is okay. It's okay. No, it's okay. Let me explain. It's okay. She. Off your mic.
On 99.3 Nigeria Info, your mic is always on. Let's talk.
It's 2 o'clock. The headline news on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
EFCC in Lagos arrests 120 people over suspected internet fraud. Get ready, Lagos. Starting 1st of July, the state government will begin full enforcement of the ban on single-use plastics, while 3 people rescued after a 2-story building collapses in Mushin. Yaba College of Technology receives the 2025 ICANN Corporate Merit Award for producing the highest number of certified and chartered accountants in Nigeria. President Bola Tinubu approves the issuance of critical regulatory licenses for the Kolmani Integrated Development Project. In Zamfara State, Governor Dauda Lawal says his administration is committed to providing Zamfara residents with quality and affordable healthcare. Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum reassures citizens of his commitment to rebuilding the state after insurgency. Serap demands answers from NNPC over missing 500 billion naira oil revenue. And as Nigeria marks World Hypertension Day, citizens are being urged to check their blood pressure regularly and live healthier lives. 82-year-old grandma arrested in shocking drug bust. And consultant psychiatrist says addiction cases now overtaking other mental health issues in psychiatric wards. And that's all from our newsroom at this time. You are listening to The Sunny Side with Joyce on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Thank you for your time, Lagos.
If news is your quest, or gist your request, well, somewhere over your rainbows.
Over your rainbow.
Is the sunny side.
They better know it.
With Joyce. Let's talk. Activate. Activate. We are radio active on 99.3 Nigeria Info. My name is Joyce.
I want to thank each and every one of you for your questions. You're listening to 99.3 Nigeria Info. Well, if you have just tuned in, I'm going to advise that you catch the conversation on our YouTube page. And it's politics. So if you find it draining, uninspiring, well, it's the nature of politics around here. But remember, we have a duty to save nation. We have a duty to save ourselves. We have a responsibility to partake in how we decide or how our future is decided. I have a question here I want to quickly read. Please, Barrister, what can we do as electors to compel the National Assembly members to give us good electoral laws? If the electoral laws are not reworked, there's little or nothing we can do in 2027. Electronic voting or nothing. This is Elder Inemchuku, sir. So we're back. We want to take as many questions as we can afford in 15 minutes, and then we round this up. Okay, please go ahead.
We can. Some people have started that call already.
Okay.
And then our next round of call should be our next round of challenge should be not whether Lagos is smelling or not, but that we want, if you start a 2 years rant, I know you can't sustain these things because it will be difficult for you. People get fatigued over this thing, but we can actually start that rant, because now the online medium is very strong, and that's what they dread the most.
Yeah,
that's what politicians dread the most. So some of us do cases for them, so we know when they talk about
public opinion. They don't like public opinion.
They don't like public opinion. So we can actually sustain this tempo. You don't really have to. For those that can march on the street, fine, but you don't have to these days.
You can pay a lawyer to push the case,
you can pay
or you can use your voice on social.
You can use your voice online. You don't have to wait, to be invited. Even people have phones these days. Even now, unlike before days of our traditional media, there were no phone-in program. It was just birthday wishes, but now you can call and rant. And so if that's the talk on everybody's
lips,
lips, you say raise your voice and the leaders listen.
All right.
And then the question on what can Peter Obi do? Yes, he has a lot that he can do, and there is still a lot. There's still time. They should leave this. It should continue to align with the people that actually gave him the votes, which is the everyday person. And that way, the political leaders who want him to come play second fiddle will understand that he is the one with the power. How did the Tinubus of this world make Buhari the presidential candidate? They were the one that actually went to him because they saw that come rain, come shine, this man has 11 million votes in his kitty. So Peter Obi can be that with such vote, and then he will become the beautiful bride that everybody wants, and not somebody to come and play second fiddle.
Okay, so Peter Obi should not play second fiddle. Hello, question on Nigeria Info this afternoon. Please get to it. Tell us your name.
Good afternoon, Lady Jane.
Afternoon to you. Thank you for being here. Your name and your question, please.
Good afternoon to your guest. Yeah. So, if my memory serves me correctly, your guest has been here on a couple of times, and I remember him saying that the same APC that said PDP are the virus eating into our polity have been the one welcoming the same PDP people, and now they're all whining and dining together. So the best way to really get rid of opposition is to be in the opposition. But is there a strong force to confront this behemoth right now? Because as it stands, they are even putting moles into everyone that seems like an opposition to them. So he also cited the fact that we should try small by voting in the senators. But my question to him this afternoon is that how many of the senators in the National Assembly were actually elected and not selected? The main abracadabra happens in the coalition center if we as the masses do our bit. In the coalition center, we will not be there with them. What really happens? What goes on there? So how can we circumvent this so that history will not repeat itself in 2027? Thank you very much, Lady J.
It's on your side, and I'm trying to manage all of this, so you have to be quick because telephone lines are ringing.
I said this, I have been saying it, Joyce, you still remember.
Yeah.
I said, if your votes do not count, nobody will pay for it.
Yeah.
So they know. The vote counts, that's why they pay for it. And I gave you an instance, and I said, in the last election, Governor Sowolu almost became church usher because he was going everywhere. He saw that people's vote counted. So in the same vein, what happens? They select parliamentarians, candidates, and throw out you, just like we saw with the local government election primaries in APC in Lagos State. But because they know that anybody they throw at you, you will say whether we vote or not, those people will win. And so they can throw anybody at you. But look at Etiosa. What happened in Etiosa? The candidate that were thrown at them, didn't win. And because of the people's voice, even Banky W lost an election there. So despite his popularity, man who didn't print poster won election in Etiosa. So that's what is informing, what's my friend's name now, contesting for local government chairman in Etiosa. So that's the people's voice. Right. This idea of thinking that, to sit down, resign to fate is madness, according to Olarotimi. You say, they will do it their own way. No, there is a meeting point, and until we consistently, begin to confront them, my face, no, they fear your face. Now my face, your face, suppose they fear kind of attitude. Then they will give in, but... And it is not a marathon.
You grew up outside.
Aviaria.
Nigeria Info, you on the sunny side. Sorry, I lost you. Please make it back. I'm taking your questions. I have a few minutes on this one. Please bear with me. The sunny side, Nigeria Info. What's your name?
Yeah, good afternoon. This is Chris.
Please go ahead, Chris, with your question.
The Lord, good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much. You are familiar with Delta State. If I know Kowa, Agbot Obiaroko. There is no road.
Yes.
Last year I traveled to my village in Okwane. I can't drive through that road. And if I Yokowa, they allegedly 1.3 trillion, right? Today.
What's your question, please? What's your question?
Okay, my question. How come the APC people that call themselves men of integrity are now welcoming this set of people that EFCC allegedly accused of 1.3 trillion, like Ifeanyi Okowa? And for all this opposition, ganging up, El Rufai and co, you know, the one APC system in Kanu talks about Togri, right? We can't do anything.
Please, I'll appreciate your question. We have to give room for others, please.
Yeah, with the Togri, Nigerians cannot do anything because APC, they are this type of Anogu Greece syndrome.
All right.
This Togri is my problem. Chief, Barrister, can you sort out from that?
All right. Okay. Thank you.
During the election in my estate, there was what we call vote, eat, and drink. I coordinated that place. Everybody that came in one of the elections I was around, you know, we collected money from people. So yeah, we had 2 drums
of drinks and food.
Food and drinks. We coordinated it and ordered for food. People came, and at the end of the day, it was peaceful. Do same in your area. This Agbero, this talk, it is hunger that is driving them. In my area, all the area boys know me. So I don't wait for election to relate to them. I relate to them every day.
Okay.
It's people created thugs against us, so we can make them. It's like a fierce dog. Somebody will train it and it'll become humble.
Loving.
It's the same thing.
All right. Okay. So I guess there's a science to it. You can befriend your seeming enemy, or you can. Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So those thugs that they will use, we cannot befriend those thugs. And because those thugs are from amongst us. Because when they go, we live in the same street.
Yeah.
We live in the same neighborhood with the thugs.
All right. Hello, your question, please. Nigeria Info. So good to have you join the conversation. I lost you. Make it back. You're on the sunny side. My name is Joyce. My guest is Labara. So Shama, hello. Good afternoon to you.
Hello. Yes.
Thank you for being here. Tell us your name and ask your question, please.
Maketuma.
CM, what the girl just said is the fact you don't want to mingle with area boys and they are using them. Me, in my area, we talk a lot. So it's because we are separating ourselves from them. That is why they are using them. Again, we are not ready to stand as a people and speak with one voice. These people cannot defeat us. We are the problem. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for calling. Well,
Maketuma just summed up everything. You know, this I pass my neighbor mentality. It happens to us.
Yeah.
The moment you are able to buy SUV. It's now you against the rest. So these people now see you also as one of the oppressors. You join those.
Yeah.
There's no pool where those people stay. And then you now begin to create a segregation. You fence your own house.
Yeah.
You know, your children goes to, good school like MC Oluomo.
And you drive past them.
You drive past them. And then they hail you, hey, father.
Yeah.
You drive past. On the day of election, you think they'll be the ones who carry guns and snatch ballot box in your area. But if you and them, you see, because you see some people, let me tell you, I went to Adeniji one day with my tie and suit. I went to the police station. And while I'm waiting for the IPO, I decided to take a walk into the streets. And so I saw one area where they were selling baraga, if you know. I saw some boys and, I sat down. And one of them, accosted me. Whoa. Immediately he did that. And I greeted him and said, may I give everybody something round now. They hate me. And then I removed my tie.
And sat down with them,
And at that point, I could preach to them now.
Yeah.
Because I had come to their level. So now they saw me as friend and not that enemy with tie that came to want to oppress. At the end of the day, I was the one buying. But one of them came and said, no, we have our money. You are in our hood. We entertain you.
Uh-oh.
He said, look, that was long ago. He said, I'm a member of Team Lagos and the state pay me.
Wow.
That was the day I knew that there's some persons called Team Lagos. It was during Fashola's time. And that they collect money from state government to just maintain peace. He said, we entertain you, we are rich. And they entertained me.
I wish I could.
And then the IPO came to meet me there eventually and said, boys, I want boys now.
Okay.
You know? So, and that's the way we should relate with, because we are all oppressed.
Yeah.
So, but amongst us, by the time we begin to create segregation amongst us, that's what they want. We'll be divided.
Look, I wish there was a lot. Look at the telephone lines. Like, there are just too many people on the telephone lines with questions. Sincere apologies. I wish I could, but I have a recorded program in about 30 seconds from now. It does quite mean in this time that Laboris Oshoma has to make a commitment to me to come back to the show, which he tends to be very, I would say he's loving with that. Very liberal with his time when it comes to the sunny side. I want to thank you so much, sir, for being here. Unfortunately, politics doesn't give us much to hope for, but every time we talk, we can inspire each other to be hopeful and to sharpen each other and look forward to this country being better in no time.
Yes, if we make it right in our little spaces, and before you know, it will all
go around.
And
all right, bless
better.
Your hearts. The sun has set.
We're live in the studio, and today we have a special guest from Vantage Markets with a proven track record of help.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.